Alrighty, and welcome back to the Discover Virginia Beach podcast. We have a super special episode for you all today to cap off season 1 of the Discover Virginia Beach podcast, featured with the Discover Virginia Beach Facebook group. I have with us today Darcy Whitlow. She is a business owner, artist, dreamer, and all around super creative and wonderful person. Darcy, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here.
Wonderful. We are super excited to have you. So a little bit about Darcy, as this podcast is about discovering Virginia Beach. Darcy is a business owner. And of course, she's a mom and she's a very creative entrepreneur who focuses in on the artistic side of things. And Darcy actually started out as an art teacher for 5 years at the Norfolk Public Schools. Norfolk is a part of the Virginia Beach area, and she taught introductory art as well as intermediate, advanced, and AP drawing and painting classes. And if it's been a while since you've been in high school, AP is the advanced level to get you ready for college. So when it comes to art and the creation of art, Darcy is no stranger to all of those super creative and cool methods of creating art. And we're going to be diving into that today. But first, before we do, Darcy, I would love for you to share with the audience how we got connected, because it's kind of a fun little story here. And then also kind of share, what community means to you and bringing people together to share art with them.
Okay, awesome. I would love to talk a little bit about that, or a lot about that. So it's actually a funny story how we got connected. I like to think it's a funny story.
I do as well.
So I, like you said, am a local business owner. I own Crush It on Canvas LLC, which is a traveling art party business. And I found Joe. Basically, well, we found each other kind of. One of the things that I do within my business is I find Facebook groups that are really centered around community, especially local community, whether that's Norfolk or Virginia Beach. We have 7 cities in the Hampton Roads area. So Joe created this amazing Facebook group called Discover Virginia Beach, where people can come and find out secret spots and awesome events that are happening. And it's just a really great space for people that are traveling to Virginia Beach or looking to move Virginia Beach to find really great things within the community to do or take their families to, things like that. So that's how we got connected, and we just sort of started collaborating from there. We did a giveaway for one of Crush It on Canvas's events, and it just sort of snowballed from there. If you want to add anything to our meeting story.
No, that sums it up perfectly. And Darcy, I just want to emphasize for the audience, just how important community is, even in a digital world, even in a post-COVID world where, there's a lot of things happening in and around us in our community, and people are hurting and still longing for that sense of connection in a positive light, without branching too far into toxic positivity. But we do like to be realistic, but also provide events and conversations focused around the better part of our nature and the better part of our community, realizing that there are opportunities to grow and pivot from there. So with that said, Darcy, I'd like to open up the conversation to you to see, exactly what community means to you, and then kind of share with us a little bit about the backdrop of your teaching career and your aspiration for serving families and children in the community.
Okay, absolutely. So as far as community goes, that is actually one of the main foundations of Crush It on Canvas. A lot of people, I'm sure, have seen paint nights or craft nights and things like that, but Crush It on Canvas is so much more than a paint night. We strive to create a safe, creative space or environment for our participants. And one of our main focuses is connection. So what I realized, we started in November 2022. So what I realized is with COVID, we lost a lot of that connection. And like you said, people were longing for that and community. So this is a really great way for people to connect and build community and meet new people. And it's a way for us to connect with our participants as well, whether they are a child or an adult or a teenager. We all, that's a really big thing with us, is connection, making those individualized connections and building that community. So that is my little piece on community. But I was born and raised in Norfolk. So Norfolk and Virginia Beach are kind of like sister cities. And there's some areas where they kind of, go like this. And so a lot of North communities and Virginia Beach communities interact with each other. So I was super close to the beach. My parents are big beach people, so I always went there. And I've always noticed that Virginia Beach just always has the most amazing, unique events. We've been working with a ton of businesses out there. So some of the businesses we've been working with are Commonwealth Brewing Company, the new Tap House Pups and Pints, which we're really excited about, Young Veterans Brewing Company, Bonchon, Studio 8 Hot Yoga. So those are just a few businesses that we have partnered with to make these awesome events happening. You asked me something else, and I totally forgot. So
that's okay. That's okay. That's a great place to transition. Darcy, thank you for sharing that. And of course, thank you for those of you listening and supporting the Community Spotlight. If you are looking to dive a little bit more deeper into the history of the Virginia Beach area, I actually wrote a guidebook on this called The Ultimate Virginia Beach Guide. And it actually dives into a little bit more of the history and upbringing of the city of Virginia Beach, which actually started because of our neighbors in Norfolk, the Norfolk Public Railroad System, and local and state bodies coming together. So Darcy, it's funny you alluded to that, because a lot of people don't know that, but like we have in Virginia Beach a lot to be thankful for our Norfolk sisterhood, as you say, because of how that was formed. Before we get too much into the business side of things, I want to kind of like take a step back with you, Darcy, and I'd love for you to walk us through your thought process when it came to teaching in the public schools and kind of like what led you down that point of transitioning, the good and the bad that came with 2020. I'm sure a lot of people know this, and we don't have to reiterate it too much, but there was a lot of moving parts, especially for the public school system. So if you wouldn't mind shedding some light into that, and maybe, talk a little bit about your struggles and, how you kind of came to that point where like, okay, now I need to make that transition happen.
Okay, for sure. And if you're okay with it, I'm actually going to give you kind of my whole backstory.
That's great. Yes, absolutely.
And it includes everything that you just mentioned.
Perfect.
Okay, so it's actually a really funny story how I even got into the arts. I met my now husband in high school math class 14 years ago. He convinced me to take an art class, and I totally thought that I was going to fail. I had no previous artistic experience, and I just honestly thought that I would suck at it. But I actually ended up finding myself and finding my purpose in those high school art classes. I really loved the class, needless to say, and I kept taking art classes throughout high school and college. So that brings me to my college experience. I got my bachelor's degree in art education from Old Dominion University, which is in Norfolk. Once I graduated, I knew that I wanted to work at a Title I high school in the Hampton Roads area. So I was hired to teach intro to art at Lake Taylor High School. I had really amazing mentors. Actually, one of them you may know, it's a local artist. His name is Clayton Singleton. He was an amazing mentor and friend. And then another art teacher, Sabrina Smith, was a really big mentor for me as well. I absolutely loved it. But the city notified me at the end of my first year that my position was cut due to lack of funding, which is a whole nother thing we could get into with public education and the arts, but we're not going to, not today. So I was heartbroken. I cried a lot over losing that position. I had built such amazing relationships with my mentors and my students. I just couldn't imagine leaving. But luckily, the District of Norfolk gave me the opportunity to choose a school that I would, that had an open position, an open art teaching position. So I chose Norview High School, which is also obviously in Norfolk. So I chose Norview because of the diversity, and they have a really great ELL program. I'm not sure if you're familiar with ELL, English learning. It's supposed to be ESL, so English as your second language, but they changed it to ELL. Anyways, sorry, I know I'm going off on a tangent, but I'm almost done.
That's okay. That's okay. Yeah.
My story. So in the 4 years that I was at Norview High School, I worked with really amazing teachers. I met some of my best friends there, and I built really great relationships with my students. Being a teacher was not easy. Like you said, especially during COVID, I had really, really, really hard days, weeks, months. But one of my main goals as a teacher was to connect with my students and help them in ways that maybe nobody ever had before. So what we did in my classroom, it's hard to describe, but the only word that really comes to mind is like magic. I wish you could have seen it, Joe, because there was just so much energy. I don't even know how to, like I said, explain it, describe it, but experiencing that energy and then missing it for 2 years after I left is what brought about Crushing on Canvas. So I really honestly thought I was going to be a public education teacher till the day I died or retired. But then I had my son, Rowan. I found out I was pregnant 2 weeks before the shutdown. So I was pregnant throughout the entirety of COVID and had him through COVID. He was also born with hip dysplasia. Luckily, he's 100% corrected, but it was really, really hard. And we didn't want him to be in daycare with special physical needs. So COVID had caused a lot more damage to our education system. And I was already burnt out from teaching. And then on top of that, I had a new baby with physical, like special physical needs. So even though what was happening in my classroom was magic, the education system had taken a huge toll on my mental health. And the other side of that is daycare is basically paying for another mortgage. So in the end, it was just in our best interest for me to leave. But I really, truly believe that it all happened for a reason. And I feel so grateful for my experience through all of that because I still get to connect with the community through art, which is my purpose. So all of that to say, it was really, really tough getting through all of that hard stuff, but I really feel like it happened for a reason. And I'm here today doing what I'm doing with Crushing on Canvas because of all of that.
Wow. What an incredible story, Darcy. Thank you so much for opening up and sharing that with us. It definitely, goes to, speaks to your character and your motivation to, continue the pursuit of community in spite of challenges that are, really hard things to deal with. I mean, hard doesn't even scratch the surface. I mean, I'm sure everybody has their COVID story of like what that day looked like. I know for me, it was when sports shut down, but it definitely, speaks to your character. And I'm very inspired. And I want to encourage the listeners out here too, because most of my live streams on the Facebook group are super positive and cheerful and happy-go-lucky because I have the wonderful opportunity to, be expanding my family, and setting out on new business endeavors. And I'm like right next to the beach if I need some quiet and some inspiration. But I get that a lot of people aren't always in that season of life. So I want to be respectful for those people who are maybe in the thick of it, in the challenge of it, in the darkness, so to speak. Darcy, would you mind sharing maybe one or two examples of maybe some ways, and you can go as personal or as generic as you'd like, as a public education teacher. I'm sure you're familiar with this type of question, but what are some coping mechanisms, and not speaking to you as a psychiatrist or any sort of that, but just through art in general, are there maybe one or two examples you can give us of ways you still found inspiration or still found motivation in spite of the challenges with the hip displacement and the challenges with the school essentially laying you off, because they weren't able to provide the proper proceeds to the public education system? Can you maybe give us some examples of some ways you found inspiration?
Yes. So one of the biggest inspirations, honestly, was, and reasons that I kept going through all of that was because of my students, and the community that we had built in the classroom together. And, we could talk about this all day, Joe. I want to take a moment to even just put a little bit of light on what the kids went through
Sure.
during this time too. I mean, I can't imagine. And, I was right there with them. So I saw a lot of pain and need to connect, not being able to connect. I felt that too. Things that I did to cope, or ways that I found inspiration, was through my own community, whether that be my family or friends. I talked about some of the best friends that I met working at Norview High School. So I remember specifically, I was really down in the dumps. I was pregnant. Everything was shut down. And one of my really great friends came. She had music and all these signs. She just parked in the driveway. I stayed by the garage. And she just did a whole song and dance for me to cheer me up. And if that doesn't show community, I don't know what does. And even though that's one friend, I mean, that really lifted my spirits. It's really the little things. And obviously, my son is my whole world. Everything I did, all the decisions that I made at that point in time was for him and his mom, the betterment. If I am better mentally person, if I'm better mentally as a person, I'm a better mom. So full circle. So yes, it was for me and my mental health, but it was also for my son, and mostly for my son. So he was a huge factor of getting me through, because when you're a parent, I mean, you don't get a day off, so you have to kind of be in that moment and cherish that, and try not to take it for granted, especially when you're going through such a difficult time. I hope that all kind of made sense.
Absolutely. Yes, Darcy.
Okay.
Thank you so much for breaking that down for us. And, I really, want to encourage the viewers to, understand your story, because it is the platform, it is the foundation, I believe, in the conversations we've had, that have led you down this path of creating this really remarkable and beautiful ecosystem of families and individuals to come together. Whether you're an individual, a solo individual, right? Maybe you're not in the child rearing years of your life, but you have nephews, nieces, grandkids, or maybe just some kids from church or in your community that you've really poured into, to have environments for them to participate in. So as we kind of head into the last segment of our conversation, Darcy, I want to really shift the focus on Crush It on Canvas LLC, and talking specifically about your business and how people can become a part of this community, and what type of events you have going on this summer. We're recording this in June, but we'll probably be publishing it later in July. So just keeping that in mind. So any events that you have coming up for the July, August, to the rest of the year for 2023, love to hear about it.
Okay, let me go ahead and erase my June ones. And I did also want to note something that I forgot to mention.
Yeah.
Is another thing I really love about this, talking about like coping skills and things. Art in general, creating, I'm not even going to say art, creating, using your hands to create something is super therapeutic. So if you're listening and you haven't tried some form of art, even if it's the paint by numbers or those mandala coloring books, practice that every day. Practice something creative every single day, and you'll be amazed at how much it helps you mentally and emotionally as well. I
Great
just
tip.
totally forgot. Sorry.
Tip.
I had to throw
No
that in
worries.
there. So, Crush It on Canvas LLC, like I said, we started in November of 2022. It started with just me, just little old me, driving down the street to Summerwind Vineyard in Smithfield, Virginia. And that was my first gig. And since then, it just kind of snowballed. Sometimes I look around, I'm like, I don't even know how that happened, but I'm loving it. So we now have 7 other artists that are partnered with us. So it's me and 7 other artists under Crush It on Canvas. We have So many amazing events. It's really hard to choose, but we are building our July calendar right now. So I don't know if we have any scheduled specifically in Virginia Beach for July yet, but we will be. So once we give you ways to kind of keep up with our events, make sure you do, because we post them as they come. But let me go ahead and, oh, I actually do. I lied. Okay. Are you ready?
Yes.
Okay.
And for those of you listening, if you're in the car, don't try and write this down or text it in your phone. We will have it in the show notes in the description below. So if you want to get a chance to look at them later on, we'll also give you ways to look that up later on as well.
Okay,
But
awesome.
I'm excited to hear about them too, because I have a 5-year-old and a baby on the way. So I need stuff to do this summer. So let's dive into it, Darcy.
You're in luck. Hopefully you're free on the 7th. But okay, July 1st, we have a mermaid paint night at Young Veterans Brewing Company in Virginia Beach, Virginia. On July 6th, we don't know what it's going to be yet. We just scheduled it, but it's either going to be a wreath making event or a traditional paint night at Renee's Restaurant and Lounge in Suffolk, Virginia. We have 2 events on the 7th, July 7th. One is in Virginia Beach at Bonchon. They have amazing Korean food, especially their fried chicken. It's kind of like a hidden gem. So if you can make it out, it's actually going to be a parent and me paint night. I'm going to be leading it. So that's the one in Virginia Beach. Again, that's at Bonchon from 6 to 8 on the 7th. And then we are doing one at Cova Brewing Company, which is in Ocean View, Norfolk. And that is going to be a watercolor class from 6 to 8. July 9th, Hampton Roads Winery. We are doing a flower pot painting class from 1 to 3 p.m. Reaver Beach in Norfolk. We are doing a paint night or a paint party from 2 to 4 p.m. Summerwind in Smithfield, July 20th, paint night, 5:30 to 7:30. And one thing that I am really excited to talk about, I'm really excited about all of them, but this one is close to my heart. Right. On July 23rd, we're going to be doing a fundraiser event at Momac Brewing Company in Portsmouth, Virginia. It's going to be from 12 to 7 p.m. There's going to be a cornhole tournament. There's going to be bingo with gift baskets as prizes. And cash prizes for cornhole winners. We're doing face painting for kids, and we're doing a paint night all in one day. And a ton of the proceeds are going to the local nonprofit we are working with, which is called Right Path Outreach. And I actually met them through one of my paint nights. And I looked them up and I said, we have to get involved with them somehow. They work within the community, especially with kids, just to provide activities, provide education on certain subjects like art or sports or even financial, I don't know what to call it.
Are you talking about fundraising in general? Just
the nonprofit. So let me back up. So one of the things they do is they do free week-long classes for students or for kids in the community. Okay. And it could be art, it could be sports, it could be financial education.
Okay.
So that's what they focus on. And then they also do a free food and clothing drive every Sunday in a parking lot sort of behind Momac Brewing Company. So a really, really amazing local nonprofit that we have now partnered with, and we're going to be raising funds for them on July 23rd from 12 to 7 p.m. So definitely put that on your calendar. We would love to see all of you there, and it's not too far of a drive from Virginia Beach. So
absolutely lovely. Well, Darcy, thank you so much for sharing all that, and thank you to our listeners. The reason why I wanted you to break that down is because there's literally something almost every week of the summer, and there will be more events and hopefully some more giveaways in the future in the Discover Virginia Beach Facebook group, which is designed to help discover, define, and then go out and do exactly what it is you're looking for, whether that's inspiration or community or just some new ideas to try and discover and kind of vibe here in the Virginia Beach area, which is not just exclusive to Virginia Beach. It includes a whole nother list of cities that you can definitely check out. Darcy, thank you so much for your time today. I just wanted to wrap up this conversation by asking you one final question. Well, we're going to roll out the red carpet for you. Only have one camera, but let us know where we can go to find out more about you, Darcy, and your events. So that way, if someone's interested in participating in a paint night, checking it out, or just trying to figure out, what ways they can be a part of your community, let us know where we can find you at.
Okay, great. So we are super active on our social media platforms. All of our events get posted there, and we post a lot of really fun stuff as well. So our Facebook is, just look it up. It's Crush It on Canvas LLC. That's our Facebook name. And then we also have an Instagram as well. And the tag for that is just, all one word, at Crush It on Canvas, all lowercase. So those are definitely two flat platforms that we are constantly on. We are in the works of getting an individualized website, but that's not fully up and running yet. And like I said, our social media platforms are great. If you have questions or you want to be added to our email or text list for future or upcoming events, you can email us at crushitoncanvasllc@gmail.com.
Wonderful. Well, Darcy, thank you again so much for your time. I really appreciate it. This will be one of the, this will definitely go in one of the highlights of season 1 for sure. So I'm super excited. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to share it with a friend, a family member, or maybe somebody who's just like, I need something to do with my hands and creativity, because Darcy is your go-to instructor for that. And with that said, we will see you all on the next episode. Ta-ta for now.
Hey, thanks, ciao, bye.